Hello, this is Steve Miller. Today I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step installation for installing Appium along with Ruby so that you can do Appium testing. I've done multiple different variations of installations, and this is the one that I found to be the easiest and the quickest way to get set up. A quick info on my machine right now is I have Yosemite with 10.10.3, and this is a clean machine, so I'm actually starting from scratch on this one, so you can see all the steps that need to be taken. And this is a Mac Mini server from mid-2011. You can use any type of Mac, but that's what I have. So the first piece that we're going to do, and I have all the steps also notated on my blog, Dented Ghost, at blogspot.com. So what I want you to do is go out and download the Java JDK. You can go here and just click Java JDK. And the one that we're looking for is the Mac OS X. Just click Accept License and then download it. We'll let that download and then I'll come back in a second. Okay, so that is now completed. I'll go ahead and open it up and then we'll walk through the installation. Just double click on the icon. Install the software. This doesn't take too long. Alright, go ahead and hit close. So after we installed it, the next thing we need to do is update our environment so the Java will be recognized. So to do that, make sure you're right spot, open up terminal, and if you need to or you're not sure, you can always come up here, search for terminal, and then terminal will open up. Inside of here, do cd, make sure we're in the right location. If you do pwd, you'll see it gives your path to that location. And to make it simple, we're going to use text edit. So we're going to edit the bash profile. So say open-a text edit and then .bash profile. And if you don't have an existing profile, let's say it doesn't exist, so to fix that, we'll just go ahead and say touch.bash profile, and that will create an empty file for us. And then you can use the up arrow keys to go back to an existing command, and we'll go ahead and edit our bash profile. And in our bash profile, all we want to do is add this command. And now there's a little notation. If you have 10.5 or later, this is the best way of doing it. Please refer to the website if you have something older than that. So we'll just paste that in there. Go File, Save, and Close. And then inside of terminal, we can say source.bash profile. And what that will do is that'll make sure that we're using the most current version of our bash profile. Another way to do that is just to go actually to close terminal. So now when you go File, New, Window, then from here go ahead and say Java-version, and you will see that it now shows we have the correct version installed for our Java. So next we're going to install the Android Studio SDK. So go ahead and go to developer.androidstudio/SDK index, and we're going to install the Android Studio for Mac. Just go ahead and click here, accept the terms, and download it, and we'll be back in a second. So next we're going to go ahead and install it. Just again, simply drag this over. Depending on your machine, this can take a little while. And I'll just go into applications and say open. One thing I like to do is always just, at least for the automation stuff, oops, let's go. Keep it in the dock so when I come back to it, it's easily accessible, but that's your preference. And this is new, so we just say okay. And next, and standard's fine. Accept the license. Click finish. This can take a while, so I'm going to go ahead and pause it. So you'll get prompted for the ham or HaxM installation. Go ahead and install that. All right, go ahead and then just click finish. Next, what we'll want to do is go ahead and configure and then SDK manager. There were a couple that were downloaded initially when you did the install, and you see installed here. One thing that I like to do is I actually like, and this takes a long time, I like to go ahead and select everything based on size or some other limitations, or if you're never going to, that's fine. But to prevent running into some weird errors later, I found it helpful to go ahead and install all the available packages. Now this does take a long time, so this may be something you want to do as an overnight process, depending on the speed. You'll have to go ahead and accept the license for each one of these areas. And then click install. And this can take a long time, so I'm going to go ahead and pause it here and then come back. So after we have that done, you'll see everything's installed. Go ahead and close it. You can come back and, if you want, double check that everything's installed. You'll notice there's a couple, like down here, not compatible. That's fine. So go ahead and close that. So the next thing that we need to do, similar to Java, is we need to set the path up correctly. And to do that, again, open up terminal. And we'll do the same thing. We'll open up the bash file. So open -a text edit .bash_profile. And this will open up. Let me change the font bigger. Font bigger. There we go. So after we have the export Java, we're going to go ahead and insert what I have here. I'll go ahead and I'll copy all of this. I'll come over here and paste it. All right. Remove the spaces. One of the things you'll see is that there's 3 question marks. And again, that's your username. So I'll open up another terminal. Or actually just this terminal. And if you do pwd, you'll see users and then the username. So copy your username and replace the question marks. Then go ahead and save it. And again, like last time, you have 2 different things that you can do. You can say source.bash profile. or you could go ahead and close it down and open up a new window. And then to test it, just go ahead and say echo $Android_home, and you'll see the path is there. So we have that set up. Next, we're going to install Xcode. The easiest way is to go to the Apple Store and install it, but I've also included links. Later there'll be reasons to actually install different versions of Xcode, but just to get started out, we'll just install the newest version of Xcode. So just search for Xcode and then click install. And this too takes a long time, so I'm going to go ahead and pause it and then we'll come back once it's done. So it does take a while, and I haven't seen any progress bar. Maybe there is, but I'm unaware of it, so it does take a while. Eventually it'll switch from installing to open. Go ahead and just click open. Agreed to the license. Now with Xcode open, what we need to do is install the simulators. So go Xcode, Preferences, choose the tab Downloads, and then just click on the down arrow to install each one of those. Just make sure you have enough time to download these. These can take a little bit. And then one time when I was installing, I actually ran into a problem where the internet connection broke halfway through and I was unable to reinstall it, and it only partially installed. So just be cautious. So once it's done, you'll get checks. You can go ahead and close that. We can even quit Xcode for now. The next step that we're going to do is go ahead and actually install the Appium.dmg. So just click on Appium.dmg. And this is always changing, but the most recent version out is 1.37. I had a couple issues with it, so I'm sticking with 1.36 until I see another stable build. So just go ahead and click and download that. Now that it's downloaded, go ahead and install it. Same thing, drag it over, drop. Then go ahead and open it up. Click open. Go ahead and close these down. You'll get prompted to ask for authorization. Go ahead and say yes. You get prompted for DevTools. Say OK. Say OK. And say no to this. One of the things we can do here is we can click and uncheck for updates so we don't have that constantly coming up. The next thing that we want to do is actually use the doctor tool to double check and then also be prompted for development tools. So this is going to prompt, do we want to fix it? Go ahead and say yes. And with Xcode select, that's going to require that you install the command line dev tools. So go ahead and say yes to install. Agree. So when the software's installed, go ahead and click done. Press any key to continue. We could have installed the command line tools before, but I find it easier actually just to use the doctor and be prompted. Say yes. And what we'll do is we'll close this and we'll run it again one more time. So now we have successfully passed all the tests for iOS and Android. Next, we're going to install Homebrew. And Homebrew helps us install things on our Macs, and it does it in a way that makes it significantly easier for us. So click on Homebrew, and then copy this string here, and open up a terminal, and then paste that into there, and hit enter. Hit return. And then it will download and install Homebrew. So next what we want to do is go brew doctor. And that will run some checks on brew itself. And then do brew update. And we should be good. Now we're going to utilize Brew to help us install ideviceinstaller, which is needed for installing applications later when we're doing our automation for iOS. So go ahead and just type or copy brew install -- capital HEAD ideviceinstaller. And it'll download it and install it to your system. Alright, you'll notice that it installed a lot more than ideviceinstaller, and that's the nice thing about Brew is it'll go out and grab all the dependencies needed to properly install it on your system. Next, we're going to install the iOS WebKit debug-proxy, which is used for when we're running mobile web for iOS automation. So again, open up a terminal and either type or copy brew install iOS WebKit debug-proxy and then hit enter. Now we're going to install Ruby. Brew install RBENV. And the RBENV allows us to actually install multiple different versions of Ruby. One of the reasons I use the RBENV is I've noticed like sometimes in the corporate world, if your permissions are really locked down, that this actually helps prevent some issues that I ran into with RVM. It's your choice. There's different ways of installing them, but this is the way I found that works the best. All right. Next, what we'll do is we'll install Ruby version 2.2.1. It currently is the latest stable version. After it completes, then what we need to do is we need to tell the system both that this is going to be the local and global version for Ruby. To do that, do the rbenv local 2.2.1 and rbenv global 2.2.1. You can install multiple different versions of Ruby and then switch back and forth by just using this local command and global command. And then we will rehash it. Should be good that way. Then we have to make one more update to our bash profile. So again, open -a text edit .bash profile. Just make this a little easier to see. There we go. So at the end of this, what we're going to do is we're going to copy this. And paste that. Okay. And then go ahead and save it. Again, here we can say source.bash profile, or simply just close it and open up a new terminal. And now we should be able to say Ruby -version, and we should see the 2.2.1 that we just installed. Next, we're going to install Bundler. Bundler is a tool that helps us with the Ruby dependencies that we have. To do that, open up terminal and then just type gem install bundler and then hit enter. And it will go out and grab the most current version of Bundler, install it, and then we're done. So we'll utilize that when we're working with our Appium apps going forward. So that's how you install Bundler. So now we have everything set up. Go ahead and open up Appium and just show you, you can click launch and you should see a status 200. In additional videos after this, we'll walk through and do real examples so we can apply this, but hopefully this was helpful for you. Thanks, bye.